Jake Morrison sat in the corner of the cantina, nursing his third cup of synthetic coffee. The drink tasted terrible, but it was the only thing that reminded him of Earth in this place. Around him, dozens of alien species chattered in their strange languages, but Jake had learned to pick out the important words over his 2 years of trading in the outer systems. The cantina was built into the center of Nexus Station, a massive trading hub that floated in neutral space. Ships from every corner of the galaxy docked here to buy, sell, and share information. Jake had been coming here for months, trading Earth goods for alien technology and rare minerals. It was good business, and the aliens seemed to like human products. But today was different. Today, everyone was talking about the same thing. "The Terran incident," whispered a blue-skinned Zenthari trader to his companion. 47 ships? Gone in 20 minutes. Jake's ears perked up. He had heard bits and pieces of this story for weeks now, but never the full details. He leaned back in his chair, pretending to read his datapad while listening carefully. At the next table, a massive Grothak merchant was speaking to a group of smaller aliens. The Grothak looked like a cross between a bear and a lizard, with thick scales covering his body. His voice was deep and rumbling. "My cousin was there," the Grothak said, his voice barely above a whisper. "He was trading with the Vaktar when it happened. Said he never seen anything like it." One of the smaller aliens, a bird-like creature, with bright yellow feathers, leaned forward. "What exactly did he see?" The Grothak looked around nervously before continuing. "The Vaktar 3rd Battle Group was patrolling the Keth system. You know how they are, always looking for trouble. They found a small fleet of human ships near the 4th planet. Jake knew about the Vaktar. They were one of the most aggressive species in the galaxy, with a military that had conquered dozens of worlds. Their 3rd Battle Group was famous for its brutal tactics and powerful warships. The humans were just sitting there," the Grothak continued. 5 ships, maybe 6, small compared to Vaktar dreadnoughts. The Vaktar commander, Admiral Zektar, he decides to attack without warning. Standard Vaktar behavior. The yellow-feathered alien clicked his beak nervously. "And then the humans fought back." The Grothak's voice dropped even lower. "My cousin said it was like watching gods at war. The human ships moved like nothing he had ever seen. Their weapons cut through Vaktar shields like they were made of paper." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. He knew there had been some kind of incident, but he had no idea it was this serious. The Vaktar were known throughout the galaxy for their military might. For humans to defeat them so easily was almost impossible to believe. "How many Vaktar ships were destroyed?" asked another alien, this one with green skin and large black eyes. "All of them," the Grothak replied. 47 warships, including 3 dreadnoughts. The only survivors were 3 scout ships that managed to escape. They brought the news back to Vaktar space. The cantina had grown quiet around them. Jake realized that other conversations had stopped as aliens strained to hear the story. Fear was thick in the air. A new voice joined the conversation. It belonged to a tall, thin alien with purple skin and 4 arms. Jake recognized him as Ambassador Veltar from the Hegemony, one of the most powerful governments in the galaxy. "The Galactic Council has been meeting for weeks about this," Veltar said, his voice carrying the authority of his position. "The Vaktar survivors gave their testimony. They say the human weapons were unlike anything they had ever seen." "What kind of weapons?" asked the yellow-feathered alien. "Energy beams that could cut a dreadnought in half. Gravity weapons that crushed ships like insects. And shields that seemed to bend space itself." Veltar's 4 arms gestured dramatically. The Vaktar survivors were so terrified they could barely speak. Jake's mind raced. He knew that Earth had exploration fleets operating in the outer systems, but they were scientific missions, not military ones. How could they have such powerful weapons? "The Council is divided," Veltar continued. "Some want to open diplomatic relations with Earth immediately. Others think we should strike first, before the humans can build more of these warships." "Strike first?" The green-skinned alien sounded shocked. "Against beings who can destroy an entire Vaktar battle group?" That is exactly why some council members are afraid, Valtar replied. They believe it is better to fight the humans now, while they only have a few ships, than to wait until they have built a proper fleet. Jake felt sick to his stomach. He had to get word back to Earth. If the Galactic Council was considering military action, Earth needed to know immediately. He stood up slowly, trying not to draw attention to himself. But as he moved toward the exit, he heard one more piece of the conversation that made his blood run cold. The Xanthari Fleet Command has already begun mobilizing, Valtar said quietly. And the hegemony is considering joining them. If we decide to act, it will be soon. Jake walked quickly through the corridors of Nexus Station, his mind spinning with what he had heard. The aliens thought Earth was some kind of military superpower, capable of destroying entire fleets with just a few ships. But Jake knew the truth about Earth's space program. Earth had been exploring space for less than 50 years. Most of their ships were designed for trade, research, or mining operations. The idea that they could defeat the Vaktar military was ridiculous. There had to be some kind of mistake. He reached his ship, the Lucky Strike, and quickly sealed the airlock behind him. The ship was small but fast, perfect for a trader who needed to move quickly between systems. Jake had bought it from a retiring Centauri merchant and had spent months learning to operate its alien technology. He sat down at his communication console and began composing a message to Earth. The message would have to be encrypted and sent through several relay stations to avoid detection. If the aliens discovered he was warning Earth, it could be seen as an act of war. As he typed, Jake thought about what he had heard. The Vaktar were known for their military strength, but they were also known for their arrogance. Maybe they had underestimated the humans and paid the price for it. Or maybe there was something about Earth's technology that the aliens didn't understand. Either way, Earth needed to know that the galaxy was watching them with fear and suspicion. And more importantly, they needed to know that some of the most powerful governments in the galaxy were considering military action. Jake finished his message and sent it through the relay network. It would take several days to reach Earth, but hopefully it would arrive in time to make a difference. As he sat back in his chair, Jake looked out at the stars surrounding Nexus Station. Somewhere out there, fleets were gathering. Armies were preparing. And Earth sat in the middle of it all, probably completely unaware of the storm that was coming. He had done what he could. Now he could only hope that someone on Earth would listen to his warning and take action before it was too late. The galaxy had learned to fear humanity, but Jake wondered if humanity was ready for what that fear might bring. Admiral Lisa Carter stood at the observation deck of the Solar Defense Command, looking out at the blue marble of Earth spinning slowly below. The morning briefing had just ended, and her mind was still processing the information that had arrived 3 days ago. Jake Morrison's encrypted message had changed everything. She turned away from the window and walked back to the conference room where her staff was waiting. The room was filled with some of Earth's most important people, but the mood was anything but celebratory. Dr. Kevin Blake, the head of Earth's Xenobiology Department, was the first to speak. "I've been going over the data from the Keth system incident again," he said, adjusting his glasses. "I think I understand what happened now." "Please, explain it to us," Admiral Carter said, taking her seat at the head of the table. "Because right now, the galaxy thinks we're some kind of military superpower." Dr. Blake activated the holographic display in the center of the table. An image appeared showing 5 human ships surrounded by dozens of larger alien vessels. "These are the ships that were involved in the incident? The New Horizons, the Deep Explorer, the Rockbreaker, the Ore Hunter, and the Star Miner." General Roy Jackson, the head of Earth's Orbital Defense Forces, leaned forward. "Those names don't sound like warships to me." "Because they're not," Dr. Blake replied. "They're part of our deep space mining operation. The mission was to survey the asteroid belt in the Keth system and determine if it was suitable for mineral extraction." Admiral Carter felt a sinking feeling in her stomach. "You're telling me that our mighty warships were actually mining vessels?" "Exactly, but here's the important part." Dr. Blake touched the display, and the image zoomed in on one of the ships. These aren't your typical mining vessels. They're equipped with some of the most advanced industrial equipment we've ever built. The hologram showed the internal structure of the ship. Dr. Blake pointed to different sections as he spoke. The plasma cutters are designed to slice through solid rock and metal. They can cut through asteroids the size of city blocks. The gravitational manipulators are used to move massive chunks of ore and position them for processing. And the fusion reactors are powerful enough to melt down entire mountains. So when the Vactar attacked them, General Jackson began. Captain Steve Rogers and his crew had to improvise, Dr. Blake continued. They used their mining equipment as weapons. The plasma cutters that were designed to cut through asteroids had no trouble cutting through alien hull plating. The gravity manipulators that were used to move or chunks were perfectly capable of crushing enemy ships. Admiral Carter shook her head in disbelief. Are you telling me that we accidentally started an interstellar crisis because our miners defended themselves? That's exactly what I'm telling you. Dr. Blake switched off the display. The Vactar survivors reported seeing weapons that could slice through their strongest shields, gravity weapons that could crush their ships, and energy sources more powerful than anything they had ever encountered. They weren't wrong. They just didn't understand what they were seeing. Colonel Nina Parker, the head of Earth's Space Marines, spoke up for the first time. What's our actual military capability compared to what the aliens think we have? The silence that followed was uncomfortable. Admiral Carter cleared her throat. We have 43 patrol vessels, 12 orbital defense platforms, and about 5,000 Marines trained for space operations. Most of our fleet consists of research vessels, cargo ships, and mining operations. And how many ships does the galaxy think we have? Colonel Parker asked. Based on Jake Morrison's report, they think those 5 mining ships were just the beginning, Admiral Carter replied. They believe we have entire fleets of warships hidden somewhere, waiting to be deployed. General Jackson rubbed his temples. So we have a choice. We can tell the truth and reveal how weak we really are, or we can maintain this illusion and hope nobody calls our bluff. Dr. Blake pulled up another display, this one showing alien ship designs. I've been studying the technical specifications that our traders have gathered. The truth is, our industrial technology is more advanced than most alien military technology. Our fusion reactors produce more energy than their weapon systems. Our gravity manipulation technology is completely unknown to them. But those are tools, not weapons, Admiral Carter pointed out. The aliens don't know that, Dr. Blake replied. To them, a tool that can cut through their strongest armor is a weapon. A device that can manipulate gravity is a weapon. A reactor that can power a city is a weapon. At that moment, Commander Alex Davis, the head of Earth's Communications Division, entered the room carrying a datapad. His face was pale. Admiral, we've received another message from Jake Morrison, he said. The situation is getting worse. Admiral. Carter took the datapad and read the message aloud. Galactic Council emergency session called for tomorrow. Multiple species discussing military alliance against Earth, Vactar demanding immediate action. Hegemony fleet movements detected. Situation critical. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. The galaxy's most powerful military forces were preparing for war against Earth. How long do we have? General Jackson asked. Based on the distances involved and typical alien military protocols, maybe 2 weeks before they could mount a coordinated attack, Admiral Carter replied. But that's assuming they decide to act. Colonel Parker stood up. We need to prepare for the worst-case scenario. If they come here, we need to be ready. Ready with what? Admiral Carter asked. Our patrol boats against their dreadnoughts? Our Marines against their armies? We would be completely outmatched. Dr. Blake cleared his throat. Actually, I have an idea. What if we don't reveal the truth, but we also don't build actual warships? Everyone turned to look at him. Explain, Admiral Carter said. We have over 200 industrial vessels scattered throughout the solar system, Dr. Blake continued. Mining ships, construction vessels, cargo haulers, research ships. Most of them are equipped with the same type of equipment that accidentally destroyed the Vactar fleet. You're suggesting we turn our entire civilian fleet into a military force? General Jackson asked. Not turn them into a military force, use them as they are. Dr. Blake activated the display again, showing the locations of all Earth space vessels. The aliens already believe our industrial ships are warships. Why not use that to our advantage? Admiral Carter studied the display. It's insane. We would be asking civilian crews to fight against professional military forces. But we would be fighting with tools they don't understand, Dr. Blake pointed out. The Vactar had no idea how to defend against mining equipment being used as weapons, neither will anyone else, Commander Davis spoke up. There's another problem? Jake Morrison reports that the aliens are specifically afraid of our technology. If we use our industrial ships in battle, we'll be proving that their fears are justified. Maybe that's not a bad thing, Colonel Parker said. Fear can be a powerful weapon. If they're afraid of us, they might be more willing to negotiate. Admiral. Carter walked back to the window and looked out at Earth again. Billions of people lived on the planet below, completely unaware that their peaceful existence was about to be threatened by forces they couldn't even imagine. We need to contact Captain Rogers, she said finally. He's the only person who has actually used our industrial equipment in combat. If we're going to do this, we need his expertise. And if the aliens call our bluff? General Jackson asked. Admiral. Carter turned back to face the room. Then we'll find out whether human ingenuity is really more powerful than alien military might. The meeting continued for another hour, but the basic decision had been made. Earth would not reveal the truth about their accidental military victory. Instead, they would prepare to defend themselves using the same industrial technology that had started this crisis. As the meeting ended and the staff began to file out, Admiral Carter remained at the window. She wondered if they were making the right choice. The galaxy feared Earth because of a misunderstanding, but that fear might be the only thing keeping them safe. Soon, they would find out whether that fear was justified. President Helen Murphy stood in the White House Situation Room, watching the news feeds from across the galaxy. The reports were getting worse every day. 3 more alien governments had joined what the media was calling the Anti-Terran Coalition. The Zenthari Swarm, the Mordok Empire, and even the peaceful Alari Republic had pledged ships to the growing fleet. Madam President, said Secretary of State Robert Chun, we need to make a decision. The Galactic Council has agreed to hear our representative, but they want an answer within 72 hours. President Murphy nodded. The plan they had developed was risky, but it was their only chance to avoid a war they could not win. Send Ambassador Johnson, and make sure Dr. Walsh goes with him. Ambassador Paul Johnson had been Earth's first contact with alien civilizations. He was a career diplomat who had spent the last 5 years learning alien languages and customs. Dr. Emma Walsh was a xenopsychologist who specialized in understanding how different species thought and communicated. What ship will they take? Asked General Jackson, who had flown in from Solar Defense Command. The Harmony, President Murphy replied. It's our newest diplomatic vessel. What the president did not mention was that the Harmony was actually a converted luxury yacht that had been purchased from a wealthy businessman. It had been refitted with better communication equipment and more comfortable living quarters, but it was hardly a warship. However, to alien observers, the Harmony looked exactly like what they expected from a human ship. Its sleek design and powerful fusion reactor gave it an energy signature that seemed threatening to species who did not understand human technology. 3 days later, Ambassador Johnson and Dr. Walsh stood on the bridge of the Harmony as it approached the Galactic Council Station. The station was enormous, easily the size of a small moon, and ships from dozens of different species were docked at its ports. Look at all those warships, Dr. Walsh said, pointing at the display screen. I count at least 50 different military vessels just in the docking area. Ambassador Johnson nodded grimly. They're not taking any chances. Half the galaxy's military is probably here. The Harmony was assigned a docking bay in the diplomatic section. but Johnson noticed that it was surrounded by security ships. Apparently, the aliens were treating their arrival as a potential threat. As they walked through the station corridors, Johnson and Dr. Walsh could see the effect their presence was having on the other species. Conversations stopped when they passed. Aliens moved out of their way. Some even appeared to be trembling. "They're terrified of us," Dr. Walsh whispered. "That could work in our favor," Johnson replied. "Or it could make things worse." The Galactic Council chamber was a massive, circular room with seating for representatives from over 100 different species. When Johnson and Dr. Walsh entered, the room fell completely silent. Every eye, antenna, and optical sensor was focused on them. The council speaker, a tall reptilian being called Supreme Counselor Vexstar, gestured for them to approach the center of the chamber. "Representatives of Earth," he said, his voice carrying throughout the room, "you have been summoned to answer for the actions of your species." Ambassador Johnson stepped forward. "Thank you, Supreme Counselor. Earth comes here in peace, seeking to understand the concerns of the galactic community." A murmur went through the chamber. Many of the alien representatives seemed surprised by Johnson's calm tone. "Peace?" The voice came from the Vactar section. Admiral Crickstar, the brother of the commander who had been killed in the Keth system, stood up. "You speak of peace after murdering 47 of our ships?" "The incident in the Keth system was a tragic misunderstanding," Johnson replied. "Our ships were conducting a peaceful survey mission when they were attacked without warning. They defended themselves as any sentient beings would." "Defended themselves?" Admiral Crickstar's voice rose. "They destroyed an entire battle group in minutes. No species in the galaxy has weapons that powerful." Dr. Walsh stepped forward. "If I may address the council," she said, "I think there may be some confusion about what happened in the Keth system." "Supreme." Counselor Vexstar nodded. "The council will hear your explanation." Dr. Walsh activated a holographic projector that she had brought with her. It showed a diagram of the human ships involved in the incident. "These were not warships," she began. "They were industrial vessels designed for mining and resource extraction." The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens were chittering, roaring, and making various sounds of disbelief. Supreme Counselor Vexstar had to call for order several times. "You expect us to believe," said a delegate from the hegemony, "that mining ships destroyed a Vactar battle group?" "I expect you to believe the truth," Dr. Walsh replied. "Human industrial technology is designed to work with materials and forces that would be considered weapons by military standards. Our plasma cutters can slice through asteroids. Our gravity manipulators can move objects weighing millions of tons. Our fusion reactors can power entire cities." "This is exactly what we feared," interrupted a delegate from the Zenthari swarm. "If your civilian ships have this level of power, what do your actual warships look like?" Johnson and Dr. Walsh exchanged glances. This was the moment they had been dreading. The truth was that Earth had no actual warships, but saying so would reveal their weakness. "Earth's military capabilities are not the subject of this discussion," Johnson said carefully. "We are here to address the misunderstanding that led to the Keth system incident." "Misunderstanding?" Admiral Crickstar was on his feet again. "There was no misunderstanding. Your ships attacked our fleet without provocation." "Your fleet attacked our ships without provocation," Johnson corrected. "Our crews were simply defending themselves." Supreme Counselor Vexstar raised his hand for silence. "This debate is not productive. The Council has reviewed the evidence from the Keth system incident. The question now is what action should be taken." A new voice spoke from the back of the chamber. It belonged to War Chief Grixel of the Torthic Federation, a species known for their brutal military tactics. "The solution is simple. Earth must submit to complete technological inspection. If their ships are truly civilian vessels, they should have no objection to proving it." Johnson felt his heart sink. Any inspection of Earth's ships would reveal the truth about their technology. The aliens would discover that humanity's weapons were actually tools, and that Earth had no real military capability. "Earth cannot agree to that demand," Johnson said. Our technology represents years of research and development. We cannot simply hand it over to potential enemies. Potential enemies? War Chief Grixel laughed, a sound like grinding metal. You are the ones who have shown the galaxy what human weapons can do. We are the ones who should be afraid. The Torthic Federation proposes an alternative, Grixel continued. Earth will surrender all vessels capable of interstellar travel. These ships will be held in secure facilities until the Council determines they pose no threat. Absolutely not, Johnson replied immediately. Earth will not surrender its right to travel among the stars. Then Earth chooses war, said Admiral Krikstar. The Vivactar demand justice for our fallen warriors. Supreme Counselor Vexstar stood up. The Council will now vote on the proposals before us. First, the Torthic proposal for technological inspection. The voting began. Johnson watched as species after species voted in favor of the inspection. The fear in the chamber was obvious. Even species that had been friendly to Earth were voting against them. The motion passes, Supreme Counselor Vexstar announced. Earth will submit to technological inspection within 30 standard days or face the consequences. And if we refuse, Dr. Walsh asked, then the Council will authorize military action to protect the galaxy from the Terran threat, Vexstar replied. The combined fleets of 7 major powers will be deployed to ensure compliance. Johnson felt the weight of the moment. Earth had 30 days to either reveal their weakness or face a war they could not win. The diplomatic gambit had failed. The representatives of Earth will be given safe passage to return to their homeworld, Supreme Counselor Vexstar continued. They will carry this message to their leaders, submit to inspection, or face the consequences of your actions. As they left the chamber, Johnson could hear the aliens already discussing the details of the coming military action. A galaxy had made its decision. Earth would comply, or Earth would burn. The return journey to Earth felt longer than the trip out. Johnson and Dr. Walsh sat in the Harmony's lounge, watching the stars pass by and wondering if they were the last diplomats Earth would ever send to the galaxy. We tried, Dr. Walsh said quietly. Yes, Johnson replied. Now we have to hope that Admiral Carter's plan works better than ours did. Admiral Lisa Carter stood in the war room deep beneath Solar Defense Command, staring at the holographic display that showed the entire solar system. Red dots marked the positions of Earth's scattered fleet, while blue indicators showed the locations of mining stations, research outposts, and civilian vessels throughout the system. How many ships do we have in total? She asked Captain Steve Rogers, who had been brought in as a special advisor. Captain Rogers consulted his datapad. 237 vessels capable of spaceflight. That includes everything from cargo haulers to deep space mining rigs. General Roy Jackson shook his head. And the aliens are bringing how many ships? Latest intelligence reports suggest over 15,000 warships, replied Commander Alex Davis. Ships from 12 different species, including some we've never seen before. The room fell silent. Everyone understood the mathematics of the situation. Even if every human ship was a proper warship, they would still be outnumbered more than 60 to 1. Tell me about the mining equipment again, Admiral Carter said to Captain Rogers. What exactly did you use to destroy the Vactar fleet? Captain. Rogers activated a section of the display, showing the internal structure of his ship, the New Horizons. The main weapon was our plasma cutter array. It's designed to slice through solid rock and metal asteroids. Each cutter can produce a beam, hot enough to melt through titanium steel. And the gravity weapons? Gravitational manipulators, Rogers corrected. We use them to move massive chunks of ore around. They can create artificial gravity fields strong enough to pull a ship apart or push objects away with tremendous force. Dr. Kevin Blake, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. The thing is, most of our industrial equipment is actually more powerful than standard military weapons. We need that power to work with asteroids and planetary materials. Colonel Nina. Parker leaned forward. Can we weaponize more of our ships? That's the strange part, Captain Rogers replied. We don't need to weaponize them. They're already more dangerous than most warships, just not in ways that normal military thinking would recognize. Admiral Carter walked over to another section of the display. What about our asteroid mining stations? Can they help? Dr. Blake's eyes lit up. Actually, yes. Our mining stations have the most powerful fusion reactors humans have ever built. Each one generates enough power to supply a small planet. And that helps us how? General Jackson asked. Fusion reactors can be overloaded, Dr. Blake explained. If we set them to overload in a controlled way, they would create explosions comparable to small stars. Any enemy ships near them would be completely destroyed. Captain Rogers was nodding. We could use the gravitational manipulators on the mining stations to pull enemy ships closer, then overload the reactors. That would destroy the stations too, Admiral Carter pointed out. Better than letting the aliens capture them, Colonel Parker replied. Commander Davis looked up from his communication console. We're getting reports from our scouts at the edge of the system. The alien fleet has been spotted. They're massing near Pluto's orbit. Admiral Carter felt her stomach drop. How long until they reach Earth? At current speed, approximately 18 hours. The room erupted in activity as staff officers began coordinating Earth's desperate defense. Admiral Carter pulled Captain Rogers aside. Steve, I need to know if this plan can actually work. Can civilian crews operate mining equipment against professional military forces? Captain Rogers was quiet for a moment. Admiral, most of my crew have been working in space for over 10 years. They know their equipment better than any soldier knows his weapon. And mining work is dangerous. We're used to life or death situations. But this is different. This is actual combat, is it? Rogers asked. When the Vactar attacked us, we didn't think of it as combat. We thought of it as a problem that needed to be solved. How do you stop ships from attacking you? You disable them. How do you disable a ship? You cut through its hull or crush it with gravity. We approached it like any other industrial problem. Admiral Carter considered this. And you think other civilian crews can do the same? I think human crews are very good at solving problems, Rogers replied. And the aliens have given us a very big problem to solve. Over the next several hours, Admiral Carter coordinated the most unusual military preparation in human history. Cargo ships were loaded with extra power cells and spare parts for their industrial equipment. Research vessels shared their sensor data to create detailed maps of the approaching alien fleet. Mining ships practiced using their equipment in new ways, treating enemy vessels like particularly dangerous asteroids. The key to the plan was Earth's asteroid mining stations. There were 17 of them scattered throughout the solar system, each one equipped with fusion reactors powerful enough to crack small moons. Dr. Blake had calculated that if they could lure the alien fleet close to these stations, the resulting explosions would eliminate thousands of enemy ships. The problem is getting them close enough, Dr. Blake explained to the assembled ship captains via video link. The aliens aren't stupid. They'll be suspicious if we try to draw them toward our installations. Captain Sarah Williams of the mining ship Deep Digger had an idea. What if we make it look like we're trying to protect the stations? If they think the stations are important to us, they'll target them. That could work, agreed Captain Mike Peterson of the Rock Crusher. We position our ships between the aliens and the mining stations like we're defending them. When they move into attack, we retreat at the last second and let Dr. Blake do his thing. Admiral Carter studied the tactical display. It's incredibly risky. If the timing is off, we'll lose everything. If we don't try, we'll lose everything anyway. Captain Rogers pointed out the plan that emerged was simple but dangerous. Earth's ships would be divided into 3 groups. The first group would engage the alien fleet at the edge of the solar system, using hit-and-run tactics to slow their advance and make them angry. The second group would position themselves near the asteroid mining stations, appearing to defend these valuable installations. The third group, including Earth's few actual military vessels, would protect Earth itself. As the hours passed, reports came in from the edge of the system. The alien fleet was massive beyond imagination. 15,347 ships, led by Supreme Admiral Kethmore of the Hegemony aboard his flagship, the Star Destroyer. "They're not taking any chances," Commander Davis reported. "Long-range sensors show dreadnoughts from every major species. The Vaktar have brought their entire remaining fleet. The Zenthari have deployed over 2,000 swarm ships." "Any sign that they might be willing to negotiate?" Admiral Carter asked. "No, ma'am. They're broadcasting on all frequencies that Earth has until they reach Mars orbit to surrender unconditionally, or they will destroy every human installation in the system." Admiral Carter looked around the room at her staff. These people had signed up to explore space and defend Earth from pirates or small threats. None of them had ever imagined facing the combined military might of half the galaxy. "Send word to all our ships," she said finally. "Execute the plan." "May God help us all." Across the solar system, human ships began moving into position. Mining vessels that had never been designed for combat prepared to face the most powerful military force in galactic history. Research ships that had been built to study stars and planets got ready to fight for the survival of their species on the bridge of the New Horizons. Captain Rogers looked out at the approaching alien fleet. The enemy ships were so numerous that they blocked out the stars. In a few hours, the battle would begin. "Are you scared?" asked his first officer, Lieutenant Carol Martinez. Rogers smiled grimly. "Terrified. But I've been in worse situations." "When?" "Never," Rogers admitted. "But there's a first time for everything." In the distance, the lights of the alien fleet grew brighter. The storm was coming, and Earth was about to discover whether human ingenuity could overcome impossible odds. Supreme Admiral Kethmore stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Star Destroyer, watching the tactical display show the pathetic human fleet. 237 ships against his force of over 15,000. It would be the most one-sided battle in galactic history. "Admiral," reported his tactical officer, "the human ships are moving into defensive positions around their mining stations." Kethmore studied the display. The humans were making the same mistake that so many species had made before them. They were trying to protect their industrial installations instead of concentrating their forces for a proper battle. "They're going to make this easy for us," he said to his staff. "Order the Vaktar fleet to attack the mining stations. Let them have their revenge." At the edge of the solar system, Captain Rogers watched as the first wave of alien ships approached his position. 300 Zenthari swarm ships, moving fast and aggressive. Behind them came the larger hegemony cruisers and the massive Vaktar dreadnoughts. "All human ships, this is Rogers," he broadcast on the emergency channel. "Execute Phase 1. Hit them hard, then run like hell." The first engagement lasted only minutes, but it shocked the galaxy. Human mining ships used their plasma cutters to slice through alien hulls like paper. Gravity manipulators crushed small ships and sent larger ones spinning out of control. The humans destroyed over 50 alien vessels before retreating deeper into the solar system, but the aliens kept coming. For every ship they lost, 10 more took its place. "Admiral Carter," Rogers reported over the communication link, "Phase 1 is complete. We've slowed them down and made them angry, but we can't hold them much longer." "Understood," Admiral Carter replied from her command center on Earth. "Fall back to the mining stations. Execute Phase 2. Across the solar system, human ships retreated toward the 17 asteroid mining stations. To the aliens, it looked like the humans were making their final stand at their most important industrial sites. Supreme, Admiral Kethmore smiled as he watched the tactical display. "The humans are behaving exactly as predicted. They're trying to protect their mining operations. Should we be concerned about these mining stations?" asked his intelligence officer. "They have very powerful energy signatures. They're civilian installations," Kethmore replied dismissively. "Industrial fusion reactors for processing ore. Nothing we can't handle?" The alien fleet moved forward, surrounding the mining stations and the human ships defending them. The humans appeared to be making a desperate last stand, using their industrial equipment to fight off the overwhelming alien force, But as the battle raged on, something strange began to happen. The human ships were not fighting to win. They were fighting to position the alien fleet exactly where they wanted them. Captain Rogers watched his tactical display as alien ships moved closer and closer to Mining Station 7, the Vaktar Admiral. Krikstar had taken the bait, bringing his entire revenge fleet within range of the station's fusion reactors. "Dr. Blake," Rogers called over the communication link, "are you ready?" "Fusion reactor overload sequence is prepared," Dr. Blake replied from his control center on Earth. "All mining stations are standing by. Do it." What happened next would be remembered as the moment the galaxy learned to truly fear humanity. 17 fusion reactors, each one powerful enough to crack a moon, began overloading simultaneously. The explosions that followed were like watching 17 new stars being born. The first explosion vaporized over 400 alien ships. Instantly, the second and third explosions caught the Zenthari swarm fleet as they tried to retreat. One by one, the mining stations exploded, taking thousands of alien vessels with them. In the space of 10 minutes, over 8,000 alien ships were destroyed. Supreme Admiral Kethmer watched in horror as half his fleet disappeared in balls of nuclear fire. "What kind of weapons are those?" he demanded. "They're not weapons," his intelligence officer replied, his voice shaking. "According to our scans, they were civilian fusion reactors. The humans overloaded their own industrial equipment to create those explosions. The remaining alien fleet was in chaos. Ship captains were calling for retreat. Others were demanding to know how civilians could possess such devastating power. The carefully planned invasion was falling apart, but Admiral Carter was not finished. From Earth, she gave the order that would end the battle. "All human ships, broadcast on all frequencies. Tell them the truth." Captain Rogers was the first to respond. He opened a channel to the entire alien fleet. "Attention alien vessels," he broadcast. "This is Captain Steve Rogers of the human mining vessel New Horizons. I need to tell you something important." The alien fleet stopped attacking, confused by this unexpected communication. "The ships you've been fighting are not warships," Rogers continued. "They are mining vessels, research ships, and cargo haulers. The weapons we've been using are industrial equipment. Plasma cutters for slicing asteroids, gravity manipulators for moving ore, fusion reactors for powering mining operations." The silence that followed was deafening. "You want to know what our real warships look like?" Rogers asked. "We don't have any. We've never built a single vessel designed for military combat. Everything you've seen today was improvised by civilian crews using mining and construction equipment." On the bridge of the Star Destroyer, Supreme Admiral Kethmer felt his blood turn to ice. If human civilians could do this much damage with industrial equipment, what could they accomplish if they actually tried to build weapons? Dr. Emma Walsh's voice joined the broadcast from the diplomatic ship Harmony. "This is Dr. Walsh, Earth's xenopsychologist. We want you to understand something. When we destroyed the Vaktar fleet 6 months ago, we were defending ourselves with mining equipment. When we destroyed half your fleet today, we were using civilian industrial reactors. We have never built a weapon of war," Admiral Carter's voice added from Earth. "We have never designed a ship for military combat. We have never created a device intended to kill. Everything you've encountered is technology designed to build, to explore, and to create." The alien fleet was in complete disarray now. Ship after ship began broadcasting requests for ceasefire. The realization of what they had learned was spreading through the fleet like wildfire. Supreme Admiral Kethmer activated his own communication system. "Human vessels, this is Supreme Admiral Kethmer. I request immediate ceasefire negotiations." "Granted," Admiral Carter replied, "but the negotiations will take place on our terms." 3 days later, Admiral Carter sat across from Supreme Admiral Kethmer and representatives from all 12 alien species in the conference room of the Solar Defense Command. The mood was very different from the emergency session at the Galactic Council. "Let me make sure I understand," said Ambassador Veltar of the Hegemony. Your mining ships can slice through our strongest armor. Your construction equipment can manipulate gravity in ways we've never seen. Your industrial reactors can create explosions that rival stellar phenomena. And none of this was designed for military purposes. That's correct, Admiral Carter replied. Then, what would happen if you actually decided to build weapons? Asked War Chief Grixol of the Torthic Federation, his voice barely above a whisper. Admiral Carter smiled. I think that's a question the galaxy really doesn't want answered. The treaty that was signed that day established Earth as a protected world with full sovereignty over the solar system. More importantly, it included a mutual non-aggression pact that guaranteed Earth would never be attacked again, but the real victory was not military, it was psychological. The galaxy had learned that humans possessed technology so advanced that their civilian equipment could destroy entire fleets. The thought of what humans might create if they ever decided to build actual weapons was too terrifying to contemplate. 6 months later, Jake Morrison sat in the same cantina on Nexus Station, listening to the whispered conversations around him. But now the whispers were different. They say the humans are building new ships, a Zenthari trader was saying to his companion. Exploration vessels for deep space missions. Are they armed? His companion asked nervously. Who knows, with humans does it matter? Their mining ships can destroy dreadnoughts. What do you think their exploration ships can do? Jake smiled as he finished his coffee. The galaxy still feared Earth, but now they feared the right things. They feared human ingenuity. They feared human creativity. They feared what humans might accomplish if they ever turned their minds to war. Most of all, they feared that they might never find out because humans seemed more interested in building than destroying. And that, Jake thought, was exactly how it should be.